What's up, hybrids? Welcome back to another episode of the Phantom Hybrid Podcast. This is Hanako, and I am here with Anthony, Lori, and Mike. And we are discussing the penultimate episode for A Discovery of Witches, Season 3, Episode 6. And when I tell you, I hooted and hollered and cheered throughout this whole episode. There was so much going on, so much to be pleased about. I loved it. And before we get started, I'm going to have to read Anthony's and Michael's screen names. Anthony's screen name says Colors of the Wind.
Fucking awesome, dude.
And that's Mike's awesome. Says aesthetically pleasing. And I think both of those refer to the same specific event, which I want to just go ahead and mention and get it out the way, and then we'll talk about it in depth.
Wait. Allow me. Ding dong, the witch is dead, the witch is dead, the witch is dead. Ding dong, the wicked witch is dead.
Peter
finally
fucking Knox
this motherfucker
got what was coming to him, and it was so fucking pleasing.
It was beautiful.
It was poetic.
It was
literally poetic.
It was beautiful.
It touched my heart. Really.
I heard Mike's voice in my head when it happened. I was like, chef's kiss. They did Perfection. That so perfectly.
Yes.
And I knew we had to get that out the way, because that was like the big moment in the show. But I was like, I know all of us were so happy that happened.
It was better than the book, because in the book it's just Diana.
Let me tell you.
Yes.
When Sarah started doing those hand motions, I was like, wait, she's doing the same stuff. Like, I was like, is she about to do some higher magic? Because it reminded me of the stuff that Emily was doing. And I was like, oh, this is about to be good.
You said, I have a spell.
That's all she had to say.
But when he called them peasants or
kitchen witch.
He was throwing shade. Okay, you want to talk about talking shit?
You realize that she's probably had that spell in her head ever since M died. She's been thinking about that spell. She's been thinking about, how am I going to do it? How would I do it? Yeah, that one's perfect. And she's been thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. And when she finally got a chance to do it, I mean, it's like literal windbender shit. Like, I was like, oh, fuck yeah.
I think the only thing that would have made that scene more perfect for me is if, along with Diana, when Sarah's strength started to give out and Diana went and placed her hand to give her like some of her magic, if we could have seen Emily somewhere in there, like,
and Rebecca
giving her, that would have been so perfect to see them give that strength to Sarah so that she could get rid of him. But I mean, I loved it because, I've said it the whole time. I really wanted Sarah to be the one to give it to Knox, and we got it, and I'm pleased. But it would have made it a little more emotional if we could have seen those things. I'm thinking.
Have y'all seen the new Ghostbusters Afterlife movie?
Not yet.
Okay, then I won't say what I was gonna say because it's kind of a spoiler. But yeah, there's a scene in it that's kind of speaking to what you were just saying. So it's like, I mean, it would have just been like, oh man, I know what you're saying, and I agree. It probably should have done something like that. That would have been, but I'm good with how it ended, because first of all, he came up there like looking like he's coming off a 3-day bender, a 3-week bender from Vegas, like with his shirt all out and his hair all wild. I'm like, really? How are you intimidating anybody? And it's like, then she started doing it, and then like at the end, the only thing I just wish that that one of them would have just stepped on the rock and crushed it, or like picked it up and crushed it. And that would just been a perfect period at the end of Knox's sentence.
I was waiting for that when it rolled off. I thought someone was going to just step on it when they walked by.
I did too.
I feel like I feel like it was one of those things where they probably looked at it and was like, oh, that thing is insignificant without him now. So they didn't even pay it like the main thing they needed to do was to get rid of Peter Knox. That ball probably, I mean, if you think about it, it's nothing without him and he was nothing without it. So it was just kind of like, okay, whatever. But
so is Diana now an amplifier?
I don't think she's an amplifier. I just think that she just kind of gave that little nudge.
No, I was just trying to give a wink and a nod to our other show.
Yeah, but that was so satisfying. So satisfying. But okay, let's talk about how we got to that point. So going back to the top of the episode, we start out with Matthew driving down a long highway, and we see a little bit of kind of like, I guess, him not necessarily flashing back, but him kind of having a memory of that morning when he looks at Diana and the twins, and he leaves Set Tour, presumably to go after Benjamin.
Wait. For a moment, that introduction of this episode bothered me. Like, it was nothing but music and landscapes. And I was like, am I watching another CW show? Like, can we have something of substance, like some dialogue? There was so much like wasted time in this thing where we don't have but 7 episodes, and you spend all that time with him driving the stupid car. I thought it was a car commercial. I was fully expecting to see all right, Matthew McConaughey rolling up.
See, I actually like the beginning of the episode because it kind of shows the bond that Matthew and Diana have with each other. Like, they didn't have to say words. Like, they knew that he was going on this very dangerous.
We know their bond. We know what their bond is. We've seen their bond this whole show. Him sniffing her clothes and, her giving him her blood. I mean, we've seen it. I don't need Matthew McConaughey riding around in his nice car.
It wasn't that long. It wasn't. It
was long. It felt not. It felt long.
It was not. Long. But
that's all I wanted to say about that.
But also too, that could have just been symbolism for, okay, this is something that is hella important, hella huge. This might be something Matthew may not come back from. And you know how it is when you're going to do something that you are dreading doing or something that you're not looking forward to, how those minutes can stretch and seem long. That could have just been symbolism for that.
You remember the Oscar moment when they did the what was it, the dramatic pauses?
Yes.
I remember. That's what I kept feeling like. It was just this long dramatic pause.
I understand.
That's neither here nor there. I just wanted to get that off my chest.
Yeah. So anyway, I was editing our episode 5 show earlier today, and I was listening to some of the things that we were saying, especially in regard to Marcus and the Knights of Lazarus and all of that. And it's so funny because we were talking about the fact that it was the discussion where I was asking whether or not Matthew was trying to say that Gallowglass could leave the family if something happened to him. And we had that little discussion about Marcus being in charge of the Knights of Lazarus. And I was like, Marcus can't even, he couldn't even handle it the first time, blah, blah, blah. So it was so funny to me that in this episode, right after we see Matthew take off, Diana is facing the fireplace, and she was like, I just want everyone to understand what this is about to be. And Marcus is like, I think everybody should stay in place until Matthew deals with Benjamin. And she's like, I'm going to retrieve the book. This is what Matthew and I agreed on, and that's final. I was like, see, Marcus can't even like assert authority right there, because Diana was like, let me tell you what's about to happen. And he couldn't do anything but go along with it, because who's about to argue with Diana? I just thought that was so funny. Like Marcus is like, everybody's gonna stay put until Matthew comes back, and Diana's like, y'all can stay put. I'm going to Oxford because I need to put together this book of life. And he's like, I think the book of life can wait. It's waited for 400 years. What the fuck have we been doing if that's the case? What was the whole point of her going through everything to get the pages, TJ Weston dying, Emily dying, just for him to say, no, let's stay put? Marcus, if you don't go sit your ass down, that's how I felt watching that.
My friend, you just said that perfectly because, yeah, exactly.
I mean, playing devil's advocate, maybe. I mean, there's a certain point where Marcus is just like, okay, I know I've been fucking around for most of my hundreds of years of life, but now things are serious. I gotta take control. But he's just not doing. It's just really bad timing. Like, he did not read the room as far as Diana was concerned. Like, he must not realize that, she has the pages, she's ready to put that shit together. Like, there's nothing that's going to stop her. It's like, how much pain, just like you said, how much pain, suffering, and death has been caused just getting 3 pages for that stupid book. And now you're telling her to hold tight and not do anything and wait. She's like, waiting's over. I got the pages. We put this shit together. We figuring this shit out. Like,
but then he did make a smart leadership decision and told Fernando to go do something, which was very important. So.
Yeah, but something tells me Fernando was probably going to go do that anyway.
Yeah,
I don't know, because Fernando didn't seem too hot on the idea.
It was Fernando's idea for him to leave anyway. He's the one that was trying to get him to see that, Mark, you're done. Like, you don't have to stay around here because it's just going to get weird.
And I get that, but I also think that Fernando knows with a task this important, Gallowglass needs to be around, especially given that Matthew is not there to protect Diana. Not that she needs Matthew there, but even the strongest person needs backup.
Right.
And I think I really feel like Fernando would have done that regardless. He probably would have been like, yo, so we about to hit Oxford. Need you to come through and, just kind of help out a little bit. But I was glad to see Gallowglass come back. And, I think it was so funny. I think one of the things that I saw on Twitter, somebody posted, and the only thing they said was, he called her auntie. And I was like, yep, that was his resignation. Like, okay, you know what? I can't be with her, but I can still be in her life. And I just have to accept it for what it is. Because when he called her auntie,
really got to see the infamous tattoos too.
Yeah, I had to rewatch earlier because when I watched, I was telling Hanukkah earlier, it was dark because the sun comes in the office. I couldn't see because I wanted to see what it was going to be. So seeing that was awesome. Having her say auntie, but yeah, I literally never rewatch anything except for when we do the shows. So this is an exception because I was like, I need to see the fire drake.
Yeah, I wish we could have seen it like completed because we saw when the tattoo artist was about to redraw it, and then Fernando walks in and he's like, give me a minute. Did you see the look on the tattoo artist's face? She was like, excuse me? Like, I'm just about to get started. Like, I have the ink and the pen. I was literally going in and you're like, give me a second. And then you put on your shirt and you go outside, and chances are he never got it done because he's standing in the square waiting for Diana, not too long after that. So, but I'm glad to see him back. I'm glad to see him doing what he's supposed to do. And Diana's joy at seeing him, like, I know it's kind of probably weird for her as well, but still, I think she has a lot of love and respect for Gallowglass, just as a person and as family. So for him to be with her when she went to go retrieve the books and to kind of, be there to help protect and everything, I think that was a full circle moment. And I appreciated them putting that there. He's not just about, oh, let me go pine after her. Okay, no, let me sit here. Let me protect my family. And I mean, even the conversation he had with Fernando, he was like, I'm done being at the Clermonts beck and call. And Fernando was like, well, then don't do it for them. Do it because of the person I know you to be. Gallowglass, I've said it before. I don't like, I have issues with the way they've written him this season. And one of the things that I have problems with is the fact that Gallowglass left when he did. Don't blame him for leaving, understand why he left, but to leave when they were in a vulnerable position, that never sat right with me, because I feel like Gallowglass, even though he has had his issue with the Clermonts, like I said, he and Matthew were close. And I feel like both of them, even with the complications now, would do anything for each other. So to see him and Fernando standing there, standing guard outside the bar while Diana puts together the book, I loved it. Not to mention the shot of the two of them standing together. I mean, I appreciated that a lot.
Yeah, shout out to them, the portrayal of them like listening to everybody's conversation and like trying to pick out bad points in the conversation. I thought that was really cool, because they were like, from friendly, they're like, okay, cool, we'll see you later. Then they were like instantly like on Watchdog, like listening here, what's that? I was like, okay, that's cool as shit.
Well, Gallowglass has been doing it for all her life,
like 400 years. Yeah,
Right.
He's an expert at that.
Yeah, it was cool. But let's can we back up for just a teeny tiny second here? I want to point out the greatest hustle that Diana Bishop could possibly have and didn't know that she had: the duplicating of the library card. Man, driver's license, report cards, SAT score, gold mine side hustle.
I'm saying, shout out to her for being a forgery specialist. Damn, man. Like she making everything like.
Imagine how easy it would be for the leverage guys to have her on the team.
Oh God, they would lose themselves. They would go nuts.
This is right for a crossover. Like, I need this crossover now. Like her and Parker. Oh my God, I'm like 100% for that shit. Like 100%, I'm all in.
That would be so awesome. But yeah, no, I had to point that out because I thought that was like brilliant.
Yeah,
I'm like, damn, like, you shady. Look at you.
Hey, Diana was like, I got to do what I got to do. It's time to go put this book back together, and I need my auntie with me. And, when Sarah said to her, she said, Peter Knox, are you sure you're ready to do this? Peter Knox will be waiting for you and stuff. Diana was like, let them come. I was like, yeah, Diana's like, I'm done playing games with y'all. Come after me if you want. Like, Diana went to the 1500s and she came back a boss bitch. You hear me? So, but here's the funny thing. One, going back to the bod, I'm kind of disappointed that Sean wasn't there, even though, I don't know what happened to him after the first season, after the whole thing with Peter Knox. Maybe he quit working at the bar and was like, you know what? Nah, I'm not about to risk my life for whatever it is that a library person makes over there, because I know they don't make a lot over here. So he was probably like, no.
This is one of the plot points in the book that I didn't like, is that once we saw him initially, he never shows up again. Ever. So we don't know what happened to him. See, this is one of my, again, I've got a whole thing prepared for after, but this is one thing. She drops tiny things that people like us want to know. What happened to the library assistant? We never find out.
Okay. Yeah. But
so you're saying he was a Lafayette that stayed a Lafayette and just like disappeared when he was supposed to?
Do not get me started on Lafayette.
Let's not. But I find it funny that now every time Diana goes to the library, whether the librarians are creatures or not, they're all looking at her like, what the hell is she doing? Because both times that she's been in the library in the last couple of episodes, she's put up that barrier spell, and the librarian is looking at her like, something don't seem right about her, but I can't place my finger on it. Because she's sitting there, like in the first time she was sitting there, you could see her turning the pages and it looked like she was reading. This time it almost looked like she and Sarah were just frozen. when the librarian was looking at her. And I'm like, yeah, Diana's still causing disturbances in the library. And they don't even know what the disturbance is. But that librarian she was like, hold up. First of all, I told you this book wasn't here. And then all of a sudden, did you see how she looked at Ashmole 782 when it showed up in the list? She was like, the fuck kind of sorcery is this?
Come on now, Hanukkah. You worked in the library. You have a heightened sense of people when they be up to no good. You do.
Yeah, I know, but it's like there's so many other people there in the library, and they're just looking directly at Diana like, what is she doing?
That's Diana doing her best David Blaine. It's like, doesn't the car's not there? It's like, look again. Like, whoa! That's all this business was like. Some people just running around like, whoa, whoa.
But then, why do you see it in the line of sight of the librarian anyway? Why didn't they go to like the back corner?
That was my question as well.
I couldn't understand that.
But
because she could put a bubble up.
That's what I was gonna say, because she couldn't necessarily do that first season when she was there, right. And of course, the first season she didn't know what was going to happen with 782 when she called it up. Now I think she was probably more prepared for something to happen, and she was just kind of like, okay, you know what? Let me sit here, because if she needed to make a quick exit, it will be easier for her to do that from the front of the library as opposed to going into the back where, could be other creatures. Think about the last time she was in the bod. She was surrounded by other creatures. She was surrounded by Peter Knox, Huh?
It could have been Peter Knox hiding in one of the reading rooms or something.
Right. So I think it was, line of sight, like, okay, if I need to, there's the exit right there. You see, after what happened with her literally absorbing the contents of the book, Sarah was like, yeah, we need to go. And I think it probably, I don't know, the way that she was after she absorbed the contents, she was just kind of like staring off into space. Like, I don't know if she was seeing things that the book was showing her and she was just kind of spacing out. But I don't think that I feel like she was there, but not there in that moment. Like, she was absorbing everything that was going on with her right then. And if Peter Knox had showed up right then and there, I think it might have been a little bit difficult, because she was trying to figure out what was going on. I don't know how the book reacts with her, but we can tell that she was staring off into space when she was reading the first contents, when she was talking about, this is the book of us. And it basically tells the story of the creatures, I'm assuming, because she never specified us except to say they were two hearts that became one. But I feel like if Peter Knox had come in right there, he probably would have been able to do something, because she was a little distracted, which again is a good thing that she had Sarah and Fernando and Gallo Glass there with her, because they would have been able to protect her if something had happened and she was not, I don't want to say in her right mind, but if she was too distracted and wasn't able to do what she needed to do at the moment, she
got kind of sucked in and just like, just oblivious to everything that's going on around her. And like, because like she literally absorbed everything from that book into her. So it's like, that has to take a toll on her. Mm-hmm. And plus it's like I try not to think about it too hard, but I'm like, okay, she absorbed the blood written script off of the skin stretched pages. And I was like, that's kind of gross.
I didn't even think about it like that.
It's kind of like, it does make your skin crawl, so to speak. But
yeah,
it probably makes it transfer easier from skin to skin.
Could be.
But yeah, it's like, it was kind of, even when if Knox would have gotten it, it's like the book, when you saw when they flipped it, the pages were empty. Like, there's nothing in the book anymore. It's like, it's all in Diana. So even if he would have gotten the Ashmole, it wouldn't have done him any good, because there's nothing in there.
Yep. But all I have to say now is Diana has absorbed the book of life, and we don't know what that's going to do, but I dare anybody come after her now. Like, I'm really waiting to see what this confrontation between her and Satu is going to be, because there's going to be one. I'm ready for it.
I don't think Satu's ready. I don't think Satu fully understands how powerful she is. Also,
no, because she doesn't even realize that Diana is powerful. Just thinking about what she said to Benjamin a couple of episodes ago, she said, I looked inside Diana. She has great power, but she doesn't know how to use it.
Yeah.
And Satu thinks she's the one in the prophecy anyway. So.
You see, look on my face.
Yeah, her
Satu need to go sit down somewhere.
Okay. I'm just gonna say this. Don't go around saying you're the hot shit unless you know you can handle your business. What's the thing? Was it hubris? Where you get so full of yourself because you just know. You might want to check that before and see if you could actually do it, because I get the feeling that Satu's gonna find out the hard way that she is nothing compared to what Diana is. And I think that she's going to be at the point that when she and Diana do meet up, she's going to regret even thinking about going near Diana Bishop de Clermont.
I mean, unless she has a water lion as her familiar, she ain't gonna do no one. Her fire drake is like, what
I agree.
You gonna do with that?
Yeah.
There ain't shit you can do.
Unless and it's coming. Oh, it's coming, because it was bad enough when Satu was just thinking, okay, yeah, I'm the powerful witch, blah, blah, blah. But no, now you done put in your lot with Benjamin and did what you did to help Benjamin capture Matthew at the end. Yeah, no, Diana is about to come for that ass. Satu is going to go the same way as Peter Knox, probably worse.
I don't think Satu thought it through very clearly. I don't think she thought it through.
She got taken in by Benjamin's crafty vampire wiles.
But I will say this too,
because you take the woman's love of her life and you basically set him up to be either tortured or killed, and you think that facing Diana is you think that Diana's not going to come in there blazing guns at you. Like, she's just gonna roll over. Even if you think you are more powerful than her, you really think that emotions won't play into it? Like, no. Why would you set yourself up for failure like that?
Right. But the other thing that I was thinking about what happened at the end when Satu finally did show up. Like, she's thrown in her lot with Benjamin, but I don't think she realized until she was actually there what Benjamin was capable of. Because if Matthew could come in and feel what Benjamin had done to all of those girls and all of the witches, Satu probably felt it 10 times more because they were witches.
Well, she says as much.
Yeah, she figures out.
Something tells me, and I don't know if this is going to happen, but as much as I think Satu and Diana will probably face off against each other, I think at some point, Satu is going to realize that Diana is the superior witch. And not only that what Diana is doing is to protect everyone, whereas Benjamin is doing what he's doing for selfish gain. I think Satu will probably sacrifice herself to help Diana against Benjamin, because I think more important to Satu than the fact of her being who she thinks she is the fact that Benjamin tortured witches to get to this point. I think that's going to play a factor in what happens with her in this final episode, as far as what she does with or without Diana, or against Diana. I think she's going to end up turning on Benjamin, and that's going to help finish out Benjamin's story and whatever happens to him, because Satu is all about the witches at the end of the day.
If you remember back to when we first were introduced to Satu, I had made the suggestion that she potentially could be that character that starts out as an opposition character but turns into a an ally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, we did have
And
that conversation.
we did. I think it's still sort of been kind of wasted. I still think she's sort of a wasted character because she hasn't done anything but lurk in the background and make stupid comments.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to get into a discussion again about all the wasted effort in this show, but I think that she was definitely an underutilized character.
Yeah,
They could
I
have
agree.
set her up much better than just at the last minute throwing in with Gerbert and Benjamin.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of Gerbert, we get that wonderful, beautiful opening shot of him, hovering behind the two demons in his office. And now we get the grand master plan from this grand master chess player who's been putting his pieces on the board for hundreds of years.
Gerbert is basically like the supernatural equivalent of a grand wizard, and he's treating vampires like they're the KKK, and I'm just like, I'm sick of it. I'm like, okay, you're next.
And the thing about that is, did you see Domenico's face as all of this was being revealed? And it's like, we've had our discussions about what may be in it for Domenico and all this other stuff, but I think we were wrong about him. He doesn't necessarily want power for himself. And he says it towards the end of this episode when he goes to Baldwin. He was like, as ineffective as you were as a leader, I felt like you had everyone's best interest, or at least the creature's best interest at heart. With Gerbert, it's not going to be like that. Like, Gerbert is all about just the vampires. So yeah, he has the demons kind of on his side right now saying, yeah, Agatha has to go because she's got too much allegiance to Diana. But once they serve his purpose, he's not going to need them either. And he's going to treat them the same way that he's doing everybody else. And it's not going to be an equal thing. Eventually, the vampires are going to become the dominant creature. And I know that this has been discussed in other vampire lore, but Gerbert seems to me like he's one of those vampires who's like, okay, yeah, you know what? We're going to be in charge. And then once we're in charge, we don't have to hide from the humans anymore because we're the dominant species. So we can go out and we can reveal ourselves to the humans. And who knows, he may be like, okay, yeah, feed to your heart's desire. Well, what happens when that happens? The human population is going to dwindle. And then the vampires are going to be left without a food source. And he's going to be the cause of their downfall anyway. And Domenico sees that. Domenico is like, this is not what I want. He was like, I may have done some shady shit, but my goal has always been to protect the creatures and kind of like the integrity of the creatures. And I was like,
Well, he said, as the centuries I've sat in that chamber, I've always done what I thought was right.
Right.
And I think he realized that's not Gerbert
at all.
Gerbert and his white vampire patriarchy.
Because not only, I mean,
and I think Philippe, it's almost as if Philippe created a congregation and his purpose was to protect everyone from the vampires.
It kind of does look that way now.
I bet he saw this coming. I mean, he probably saw how hungry Gerbert was to make vampires like the ultimate race and to make them dominant above everybody else. And he probably realized, just like you said, that if that happens, it's going to spell doom for everything: humans, demons, witches, everybody. It's going to spell. He's going to fuck everything up instead of like trying to find a way to have some type of coexistence.
And Domenico's turn doesn't surprise me. Like, based on the little bit I know about the book, if I'm not mistaken, Domenico and Matthew were friends.
Like, we talked about that before. They were best friends.
Yeah, they were best friends. So Matthew doesn't make best friends with people who are, not actually good inside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't seem to be the type that would just make friends with some bloodthirsty, warmongering vampire. Like
Right.
they were really good friends. Domenico, must have been a pretty good guy.
Well, the thing that gets me about Domenico is that I got the impression that what he did was, I agree with everyone saying, but it's more than self-serving or more than saying, well, the food chain. I think that he had a pretty fair amount of shock. He was duped by Gerbert, and he is embarrassed. I mean, think about it. He's rolling with this dude, thinking vampires all for one for all, only to find out that this boy has been basically Benjamin's lackey for the last 500, 600, 700 years. He feels like he got duped. And if you get duped, what you gonna do? You're gonna run tell that, like Martin Lawrence says. He went and told.
I don't know if I feel like Gerbert. I don't know if I feel like Gerbert is Benjamin's lackey.
It's the other way around.
Yeah, that's how I look at it, because if you think about it, Gerbert talks about how he has manipulated all of this for centuries. Like, he met Benjamin and his whole thing was, oh, Benjamin has a thing against the Clermonts. Guess what? So do I. So how can I use this to my advantage? Like, he pretty much admitted that he used Benjamin to kill Philippe or to torture Philippe to the point where Philippe loses his mind. He made that admission, and I think that's when Domenico was like, oh, you really are crazy in the fucking head. Like, you killed the head of the congregation. Do you understand, like, the implications for that? He had Philippe kidnapped and tortured, and then blamed it on the witches so that Isabeau would go after the witches and cause even more dissension between the creatures. He did all of this so that the vampires would be on top. That is some diabolical shit. And I will say this too. We're going to get into more depth with him, but this is what I want to see as far as Gerbert. I need for Baldwin to find out that Gerbert was the one who orchestrated Philippe's death so that Baldwin can grow some balls and get rid of Gerbert and give him the end that he deserves. Because when I tell you Baldwin in this episode, I was like, yeah, you know what? No respect, no nothing for Baldwin in this episode. You literally are sitting here letting Gerbert tell you what he's about to do with the congregation and basically tell you, yeah, you ain't doing shit. You ain't a good leader. I'm about to handle all of this and you're going to sit to the side and let me do it. I mean, and Baldwin says, you have my support, and walks out. I was like, you punk bitch.
Okay. I saw it a different way. I thought that, yes, Gerbert thinks he's in charge, but I still say that Benjamin is the what is the male equivalent of head bitch in charge? Head dog in charge? I guess he would say. I think it's all. I think Gerbert is sort of like Knox. He's so full of himself that he doesn't realize that he's been manipulated by Benjamin. That's my take. I still say Benjamin's the main bad dude.
But back to Domenico real quick. I think for Domenico being on the congregation, I think he probably felt like he was at least equivalent to Gerbert, and I think Gerbert taking Venice away from him kind of played him into Gerbert's pocket, because Gerbert knew that whatever he does, as long as he has Venice, he can get Domenico on board with whatever he wanted, because he knew that's what Domenico wanted. That's all Domenico wants, is he wants Venice back. And
he's just dangling in front of him like a carrot. Yeah. He's like, do this for me, and you might get it, but you might get it back. You might get it back. Whoop! Gotta be faster than that.
But I think Domenico has finally come to an understanding that he really has been manipulated these hundreds of years. And I think he just is finally coming to terms with that, thinking that he was the one manipulating the situation and garnering favors and all this stuff. But the whole time, he's been doing Gerbert's bidding because
And
he wants.
Gerbert tells him, I couldn't have done it without you, Domenico. And I think
Right.
Domenico was like, fuck.
Yeah. And I don't think he understood the power dynamic in the relationship, because he probably could have gotten out of it if he would just let go of the hope of getting Venice back. And maybe he could have turned the situation in his favor, like, oh, you know what? I don't want it anymore. And then made Gerbert coming to him, but he was blind to it too. Baldwin, I think Baldwin's confidence has been shattered for the most part. And I think that's what his problem is. I think he feels like he's lost control. He can control his family, or at least Matthew's part. And I think he's just like, it's all slipping away.
I just tell you,
resigned to the fact that he didn't have any control anymore.
I just tell you, in regards to Baldwin, and I'm not one of those people who usually harps on like actor portrayals or whatever, because everybody brings their own flavor to a part. But when you start out a character in a specific way and you build him up with certain personality quirks and, just certain things that define the character, and then someone new comes in and plays him in a totally different way, like I will say, I don't know if it's just the writing of Baldwin or if it's the new actor. I just have not cared about Baldwin at all in this season. I feel like I don't know. He's just, I don't know. I just have not enjoyed seeing him on screen at all in this season. Like I could have done with it. They could have written Baldwin off to be off somewhere else doing something, and I probably would have enjoyed it better. I just have not enjoyed him on the screen at all this season, which sucks because even though Baldwin was an ass the first two seasons, I felt like he still brought a dynamic to the story as Matthew's brother, as the head of the congregation. But like in this season, I just feel like he's just there. There's no emotion out of him. There's no anger. There's like, even during the fight scene for the last episode, it was just kind of like, oh, there's a spark. But other than that, his character serves no purpose at this point.
I feel like there's like, when we first started covering this show in the first season, I felt like there was a slight Mycroft to Sherlock relationship between Baldwin and Matthew. Like, like they're both powerful, they're both smart, and they both kind of egg each other on. But at the end, you can tell that they're both each going to be there for the other one, like no matter what. But it's like there was some kind of connection there. And it's like, I think, and I agree with you. And I think we've said this whole season, that nobody's really feeling the new guy portraying Baldwin at all. And I kind of feel like they kind of missed an opportunity here, because I think this could have played out a little bit differently if Baldwin was more Mycroft like. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like where he's smarter, or he's more determined to not give in or capitulate to whatever Gerbert's getting ready to do. Like, and have like you said, just have a little backbone, just like a little bit, like fight a little bit for something that your father started and that he made you head of. Like,
right.
Fucking fight. Is like you have to realize you have to show some kind of struggle or some kind of initiative to try to save this thing. But he's just like, yeah, whatever. Okay, Matthew, you start your thing. Gerbert, you can have all this shit. I'm just gonna go over here in the corner and suck my thumb. No, get your ass up.
Yeah, I think he let his emotions get too involved, because he should have really been like, you know what, Matthew, go ahead, start your own scion. And then he went back to the congregation like, yeah, I told Matthew he could start his own scion. What are y'all gonna do about it? I mean, with the Clermonts, but that's not the route he chose to take because
And
he let his own emotions get involved.
Even in this episode, when he's talking to Gerbert, when he goes in and he starts to say, about the congregation, he was like, my father, he had no emotion in that. It was just kind of like you're repeating the same thing that we have been hearing for the last 3 seasons, but I feel like I think the character is too controlled, too much in control. You know what I'm saying? It's like you get no emotion, you get no reaction from him. Even Baldwin season 1 and 2, when he was trying to keep his emotions under control, you can see at least a little bit of something on his face. He had an expression. He had a way of looking or listening, and it made you still feel like, okay, yeah, he's listening and he's saying this one thing, but he's thinking another. Like I felt like there was a little bit more, I don't know, there was just more to the character than we've seen this season. And it disappoints me because that could have been a really good, interesting dynamic between these two brothers, because even with the way things have gone, like I said in the last episode, I feel like we've seen more of Matthew kind of wanting to build that bridge with Baldwin. You see it in like little moments. And I felt it just that one moment when they had their meeting and he asked Matthew about what it was like seeing Philippe again. That's the only time I really felt some true connection or emotion to the character. But everything after that is just kind of like,
yeah.
I think writing may have had something to do with it. Like I'd be interested to see how many different writers they've had on this, because it's like we completely ignored the fact that he had created an alliance with Agatha. Like that just totally went out the window.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, not an alliance, but he owed her a favor.
We had an understand. They had an understanding.
Yeah.
That he would be able, he was in a position to rely on Agatha's support. You know, and it's interesting to see how it just seems like Gerbert undermined it without actually undermining it. Like there's nothing in the show to support the demons changing their position.
Right.
Except for the fact that those two particular demons, we don't hear from it. Like, I don't think those demons have ever uttered a word in the whole 3 seasons.
That's what I'm saying. It's
and
like
they still have it. They just kind of got up, nodded their head, and walked out. But I'm sorry. I have a theory. I'm thinking that really, the demons have to know how Gerbert feels about them. Like, I'm sure he doesn't hide his feelings about anything, about anyone. They should know how much of a vamp supremacist that he is. Like, he sees everybody as being beneath vampires. He's like, screw all y'all. We're better than you, and I know we're better than you. I'm only tolerating you. So I have to wonder if maybe the demons are finally tired of this shit, and maybe Agatha told him, she was like, look, because the demons, as we've discussed, are among the smartest of the creatures. Like they're brilliant. Most of them are brilliant in one way or another. So you have to think that maybe Agatha told them, they were like, look, Gerbert's going to come for you to try to get you to turn on me. Go ahead and tell him, yeah, but because I have some stuff brewing, but go ahead and tell him. So I don't think that they really turned on Agatha. I think they're just kind of following along, trying to see what's going to happen next. And that maybe it is part of a plan that Agatha brewed up, because I don't see them just kowtowing to Gerbert knowing that he's a fucking bigot. Like, I just don't see it. Like, as far as them finally getting a seat at the table and having pride about being a demon and being heard, I just don't see them just giving that all away now.
And the fact that Agatha has been able to actually gain power as a demon on the congregation it doesn't make any sense for them to all of a sudden turn on her.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like for hundreds of years, y'all haven't been able to do anything. Y'all haven't had any ability to get any concession in any way. And finally, Agatha has started to usurp I was gonna say it, but what did you say earlier? The vamp
vamp supremacy.
White vampire patriarchy.
Yes, that right there. That she's finally been able to make headway on it. And y'all gonna turn. They've been in the council just as much as she has been, and they've let her as Gerbert say all that stupid shit.
Yep.
So
exactly.
I think Mike, you might be on something that maybe
I agree.
Just, trying to buy some time for them to figure out what to do. But it doesn't make any sense for them to capitulate to anything that Gerbert will offer.
Right. It makes no sense.
That will require them to lose power that they've already gained.
That they fought to gain, that they battled and tried to get it. They've got as high as they've gotten. There's no point to give all that up. I mean, why? There's absolutely no reason for them to do that. None.
And the fact that he would even want to push Agatha out would be the reason you would want to keep her. Like that means she's a threat to him.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
I agree, Mike. You got something there, I think.
So he's on something.
Yep.
But it didn't make any sense to me. But that's why I'm so looking forward to this last episode. I want Gerbert to get his comeuppance, like, from everybody, like, and just like, I'm so sick of him now, like. And plus, like, in the previews for the finale, you see him talking to Isabeau. I so bad wanted just Isabeau just to go like do a Omni-Man and just go and knock her head and knock his head off.
I think even more than wanting Baldwin to do away with Gerbert, I want it to be Isabeau. I want Isabeau to find out that Gerbert was the one. And something tells me Domenico is going to be the one to let that slip, especially since he's gone to Baldwin like, hey, okay, so I don't particularly like you, but I dislike you less than I dislike him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a feeling that information is going to be made known to Baldwin and to Isabeau. And I really want to, what you just said, let Isabeau just kind of slither out. I want to see that so bad. I'm speaking it into existence. We said it with Sarah and Knox, and we got it. So let's get the same.
Name it and claim it, sister. Name it and claim it. Name it and claim it. Hallelujah.
That would be even more satisfying for me.
Just like Lori always says, we need Domenico to go ahead and go to set to a run tell that to Isabeau and like get that done. Yep. Yeah, I'm with you. Just do this.
That would be just lovely. It needs to happen. It needs to happen. Okay, so I guess we need to talk about this Matthew and Benjamin fight at the end of the episode.
And I love this fight. I love the part where they're in the room and all you see is them going back and forth and like sparks flying and shit. Like that was aesthetically pleasing. This whole episode was very aesthetically pleasing to me. I think just that, like, seeing them fight and move fast. It reminded me of when, what was that? What show was that? It was What If, when the Soul Stone was on the ground, and in the final episode where they were fighting and you see it being kicked and stuff. It's like you see them going back and forth really fast. Like that's what it kind of reminded me of. But you really saw like Benjamin is strong as fuck, but Matthew is on an entirely different level. Like the part where he clawed Matthew's face and Matthew threw him down the hall. Then he turned slowly. You could see him. See the scratch marks healed. Then he turned towards him. I was like, ooh.
But you know what, Matthew, he toyed with his food a little too long because
I thought the same thing. I was like, when you first saw him, he should have like As soon as he saw Benjamin, why is he not dead?
Because I think he wanted to hear the confession from Benjamin about what happened with Philippe. I think he needed to hear that to know that's exactly what happened. Because, yeah, you have the watch and you have your suspicions. But I think Matthew needed to hear that, like, oh, okay, any doubts that I had about putting this nail in your coffin, yeah, I need those doubts to be gone. And he got it. But I think that fight went a little bit too long. And I don't want to say he pulled his punches, because I don't think he did, because you have to think about it. Matthew is fighting with a lot of rage, but so is Benjamin. Benjamin is fighting with several hundred years worth of rage, whereas Matthew, remember, he pretty much, he converted Benjamin and then basically forgot about him. So right. He hasn't had the rage build up the same way Benjamin has. So yeah, I expected the fight to be a little bit balanced, because you have Matthew, who is kind of like, yo, you are just a nuisance at this point. I just need to get rid of you. And you have Benjamin, who has all of this rage and frustration. And then you can also hear in the conversation a little bit of hurt too. Like, you made me this. You turned me and just left me to fend for myself. Do you know what that was like? Because again, before all of that happened, Matthew and Benjamin were friends. Benjamin was a friend to the Clermont family. And then he betrayed them when he decided, oh yeah, you know what? I'm not about to back y'all with what y'all about to do. So Matthew, again, I said this before, he created Benjamin out of spite, out of pettiness, and he did so irresponsibly. And the result of that irresponsibility is that you have a pretty pissed off vampire who has been torturing witches for centuries, trying to achieve something that he heard about. And now that he knows, like he said, what was the purpose of destroying somebody who was miserable? Now you're happy. You have achieved something that, as far as we know, has only happened one other time in history. And now Benjamin is like, yeah, you know what? I'm about to kill you and take it away from you. Yeah, he's pissed.
Yeah.
And it makes for an interesting fight. But Matthew should have ended that shit way before it got to the point where he's about to, and then Satu comes in with her magic and fucks everything up.
Yep, you made the classic mistake of talking and not doing what he's supposed to do.
You didn't watch The Incredibles.
Yep, you're monologuing again.
I say that all the time. I'm like, y'all have TV in this day and age. It's 2023 in the discovery of which is time. I know you guys have The Incredibles. Come on now. Why monologue? Just
but it sort of kind of answers the question, like,
if not that, the Last Action Hero did it too. Like,
yeah, what were you saying, Anthony?
I was saying it kind of answers the question, or may answer the question, how Benjamin was able to capture Philippe. Maybe he had help from witches.
Yeah, I think we mentioned that in the last episode, because Gerbert, I mean, think about it too. Gerbert had a witch in thrall at that point. So who knows what he could have done? He could have gotten the witches on his side with Meridiana's help somehow. Mm-hmm. So right. There's just so much that we don't know about that whole thing. And I doubt if we're ever going to get that backstory show-wise, but I think we got enough to know he was behind it. He's been manipulating all of this for so long because he wanted to be the head of the congregation, and he wants to get rid of the Clermonts. And again, we still don't know why he was so hell-bent on the Clermonts. We may find that out in the next episode, especially since he's going to be in a scene with Isabeau. We may find out that, yeah, that was a unrequited love thing, or whatever the case may be. At this point,
haven't they mentioned vampire wars before?
I don't think so.
I think so.
No, there's no vampire wars, but
you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. But see, here's the thing. From the book perspective, and I'm not going to say what it is, but they're missing a huge chunk that is just Ysabeau and Gerbert. There's a whole section that explains everything we're going to see in the next episode. That's going to make a lot of sense because, again, Gerbert, he was in love with Ysabeau, and I'm trying to remember again. I'm right. Yeah, this is another plot point that she drops in the book. So there's a lot of things that we don't get a conclusion. And like I said, when I finished the book, I was like, really? I mean, it's like it's got this gorgeous imagery. It's got this gorgeous passage of this writing, and then certain things just drop.
So he was in love with her in the book.
He was in love with her in the book, but I'm not going to go into any further than that. But it didn't have anything to do with Philippe.
Okay.
Okay, let me just put this in there. Ysabeau, before she was turned into a vampire, was a witch.
Yes, you mentioned that before. Okay.
Yes, she was a witch, and it had something to do with how she became a vampire.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. So maybe we'll get some of that in the last episode, maybe not. I don't know, but point blank, let's just say Gerbert needs to die, Benjamin needs to die. And I just, again, like I said, I feel like that fight, although it was a good fight, it went on a little bit too long. Like Matthew, I feel like Matthew was maybe a little bit overconfident about defeating Benjamin. Like, yeah, I think he could defeat Benjamin because technically speaking, he's the older vampire, but he let that go for too long. And then for Satu, like I said, to show up at the end to kind of incapacitate Matthew and then help Benjamin, even after she realized what Benjamin had done, because when she's standing in the room, she can feel the power of the witches that were there previously. And she says, "What did you do?" And he says, "Nothing of your concern." I would have turned around, choked his ass, and walked out. Mm-hmm. But I think she really is determined to go against Diana to see which one of them is more powerful. I don't know what it is about this power that she wants or she thinks she's entitled to have or she deserve. I don't know what that backstory is for her. But she's going to go after Diana and she's using Matthew as bait. And I'm just sorry. That's not going to work out well for any of them. Because we see it in the previews for next episode. You've got Diana. You've got Miriam, who is already pissed off. Like Miriam was pissed off the moment Diana walked in the room and said that Matthew left to take off after Benjamin herself. Did you see? She was looking like, this motherfucker did what? And then when Diana was delegating who was going to do what, Miriam was like, well, what about the rest of us? And Diana was like, I need you to stay here and protect Rebecca and Philip. Miriam, the look on her face, she was like, you have me on babysitting duty? Really? Which I guess kind of makes sense because I'm sorry. I have to say this again. If I have to choose Miriam or Marcus to protect my children, I'm going with Miriam. That's just it. I love Marcus as a character, but I'm going with Miriam because we know Miriam is diligent. We know she's fierce. And we know Miriam don't take shit from nobody. So yeah, I would leave my children with you too. But I think in that preview for the next episode, Miriam was like, oh, you're not leaving me behind. No. So we know Diana is going. Miriam is going.
She's like one of the first ones.
So yeah, who were the other, it was two other people on the helicopter as well, right? Was it Marcus? And who else? I don't remember, but I mean,
yeah, I don't remember.
I'm gonna be honest, with the way Diana is probably pissed right now, she probably don't need no help. Let's be honest. She probably can deal with Satu on one hand and Benjamin with the other and come out of there without breaking a sweat. But it's going to have to be challenging because I don't see where they would write Satu and Diana and it be an uneven fight. I mean, granted, I don't think Satu is going to be as powerful as Diana, but she's got to be pretty powerful now that she knows she's a weaver and she is actually trained with her grandmother to, control her weaver magic. So I feel like that'll be a little bit more balanced. But again, Diana is coming pissed off. You done took the father of her children. She's about to get in somebody's ass and it's not going to be a pretty sight. And she has whatever is going on with her with the Book of Life. We don't know what the Book of Life did with her. Yeah, it gave her information, but we don't know if it's given her any kind of extra power. We don't know, but I know one thing, whatever this 10th knot is, this knot of creation and destruction, Diana's about to pull it out in this last episode. Because you can't mention it for the last few episodes and then it not be a factor in this final battle. So, yeah, shit's about to hit the fan and I'm waiting for it. This is what I need to see next episode. I need to see Gerbert die. I need to see Benjamin die. Satu, I don't think I want her dead. But I do need her to understand that she is not who she thinks she is in this, in this series or in the grand scheme of things.
She is not the one.
She's not the one. Let's see.
Hold on, I got it right here. Miriam, and she has. Oh shit! Is Baldwin, Diana, Gallowglass, and Matthew.
Oh, Baldwin. Okay, so okay.
And
so
Baldwin grew a pair.
Yeah, Matthew. Oh,
well, Matthew is
Matthew, Gallowglass, Diana, and Baldwin, and Miriam kicked the door in.
You mean Marcus?
You mean Marcus?
Marcus. I'm sorry,
Marcus.
Yeah.
Okay. So if Baldwin is there, then yes. Okay, in that case, I need Baldwin
because Baldwin saw that watch, saw Philippe's watch, and was like, "Oh, this motherfucker."
Oh, yeah. Okay. Ooh. So yeah, I'm gonna need Baldwin to take care of. I'm gonna need Baldwin to take care of Benjamin and then admit that he was wrong about every goddamn thing. I'm gonna need that admission.
Well, remember what they said. They said that as Baldwin, as Philippe's only remaining true-born or full-blooded son. Baldwin is going to get in that ass. I mean, he's wrong about a lot of things, but I think at the end of the day, I think that Baldwin is going to, in just the memory of his father, because you have to remember, Philippe died horribly.
Yeah,
he died really, 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 really bad, and that kind of pain, is just heart-wrenching because they had to watch it. Going back, just one little thing. Two little things. One, as far as the fight is concerned, you have to remember how much has Matthew been feeding? Because remember, he has this thing about not feeding. If Benjamin's been feeding way more, then he's going to have more strength.
Yeah.
Second point, Satu. Remember, Diana has quote unquote all the witch talents. How many talents does Satu naturally have? Does she have 1, 2, 3? Does she have all 8 or 9 or 10 of them? So that can also go in on a fight on power set and levels.
Right. Because we know Diana can do the witch fire, she can do the witch wind, she can do the witch water.
All 4 elements.
Yeah. But we don't know if Satu has any of that.
Well, we know she's a fire witch, so she has fire. And she's a weaver.
Yeah.
So those are the only 2 we know.
So I'm so ready for it. I'm ready for the finale, but at the same time, I'm not, because the show is over after that. We won't have this show, and this is one of the few shows that we have covered literally from the beginning. 3 full seasons. We don't know what's going on. Oh, Okay, before we end, we have to talk about the whole Marcus and Phoebe thing.
Oh God.
Because I feel
again.
Because I feel some kind of way about this, because with all of this going on, it's obvious now, at least from the way that they've had the conversation, that they have had this chat about Phoebe becoming a vampire. And I don't know, I just feel like Marcus, something about the way that he comes across with her, it's almost like he doesn't want her to become a vampire. He doesn't want to be with her, but he doesn't know how to tell her this. And I know that's that whole vampire. No, I don't want you to damn your soul. I want you to understand what you're going to get yourself into, whatever. But you're saying this to her, a person who has been dealing with all of this vampire stuff now for what, a little over a year, probably almost 2 years at this point. Like, if she hasn't backed out by now, knowing that if any one of these vampires decide, okay, you know what, let's get rid of the humans that's part of this little faction, she could be dead. If she hasn't jumped ship by now, dude, you need to go ahead and make these arrangements so that she can go ahead and turn and be done with this. Because she can also be a help for all this mess that they're doing.
I think that this shows a lot of maturity and responsibility from Marcus, though. I mean, she's not saying, turn me into vampire. And he's like, all right, okay, here, there you go, you're a vampire. He's like, all right, I got, like, this is really, like, this is some importance. Like, there's no turning back from this shit. Like, he's really taking the time he's taking his time and not rushing into it. And I can appreciate that. And I
can appreciate it too, but you don't think they've already had this? I mean, we haven't seen it, but given the way the conversation went, she was like, we've already discussed this. We agreed. So they've already had these discussions. You don't think this question or this stuff has come up before? Like, that's not a decision that you take very lightly to just decide to, hey, I'm going to go ahead and end my life and become this immortal vampire.
Yeah, but you also have to look at with all the shit they're going through, it's like the last thing they need to be doing is trying to transform her. It's like you have to go through her possibly becoming bloodlusted and deal with that. You got to deal with her feeding for the first time. You got to deal with a whole lot of stuff after turning her. And it's like they ain't got time for that. They have no time for that because they just became a scion. They just introduced new Knights of Lazarus. They have Gerbert breathing down their neck. They have Benjamin breathing down their neck. They have all this shit going on. They don't have time to do all that right now.
They have less time to deal with all of that, trying to also protect a human. She's more of a distraction now as a human than she would be as a vampire, because think about it, as far as her being bloodlusted or blood raged, that would only come if someone from Isabeau's line changes her. And we already know, based on what the information that Lori has told us, that can't happen, because then technically she would be a Clermont. I just think
it could, you know what, Hanako? It could be they are worried about who would turn her, because then technically, she's going to marry Marcus. Technically, she's someone's child now, and it's not the Clermont family child, because remember, unlike other vampires, when these people make vampires, their DNA splits and they're 3 different.
Yeah, we discussed this in the last episode. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So it's going to come down to who do they trust? Because let's face it,
Anthony and I already said this. Fernando.
See, okay. I consider Fernando to be a Clermont, even though they have the scion. I'm more concerned about.
He's not a Clermont.
He's not a Clermont.
No, well,
not by blood.
Okay, yeah.
No, yeah. Okay. We're talking about blood. Like the blood is what changes. Yeah. So we already know Isabeau, Matthew, Marcus. Those are the 3 in Isabeau's line that have the blood rage gene. Geraldine and Ransom also. So we already know none of them are going to change her. So at this point, it's either No, it has to be Fernando because Gallo Glass can't even change her because Gallo Glass is technically a Clermont.
Okay, so let me throw this out there. There's one thing that we haven't seen as far as the vampires are concerned. We haven't seen another or a mention of another powerful vampire family. Okay, we just know the Clermonts. If there's another family out there that's somewhat aligned with the Clermonts, that might make more sense.
But they're not going to introduce that to us in the last episode of the season. Not only just the season, but the series as well. The only way they can do that is if at this point they introduce it as part of that quote unquote backdoor pilot to the spinoff that's going to be Marcus and Phoebe. Because here's the thing too, they at this point, I feel like they have to announce that they are doing a spinoff because they are talking too much about the fact that Phoebe wants to turn for them to not address it in this final episode. And then if you address it in the final episode, what, you turn her for half the episode and then that's it? Like you gave us all of this lead up for the third season just for us to see her turn and then nothing comes from it. I don't think
the backdoor pilot, and then last season when it was just the Phoebe and Marcus episode. Yeah, I feel like if they're gonna announce it, they need to announce it quick.
They're probably gonna do it right as the last episode airs. Probably
not to change the subject, but there is one other vampire that could turn her. Miriam.
Oh damn.
Oh yeah.
This is true.
That's true.
Miriam could turn.
This is true. But I think we talked about that in the last episode too. And I think I remember saying I'm not sure that Miriam would do it, but I can't remember why I thought that she wouldn't do it. But
either that or, Domenico finds his redemption and,
I mean, he's already talked to Baldwin, so it's like, maybe, or you know how Domenico is about favors. Domenico likes collecting favors, so he's like, yeah, I'll turn her. You'll just owe me.
But you know what? I feel like Domenico was collecting the favors, trying to do what he was trying to do as far as, undermining Gerbert and getting back Venice and just kind of securing his spot in the vampire hierarchy. But now that he's fully gone against Gerbert, I don't think that's something that, because
I think him getting favors is part of his personality. I think that's who he is. Is like he likes having things that he can hold above people's heads. I think that's part of who he is.
But again, too, we have to remember, like Lori said, whoever sires Phoebe will be responsible for her transition and her training, for lack of better words, as a vampire. And I don't think Domenico would want to tie himself down or connect himself to the family in that way. Like there's no benefit to him in that sense. That's why I feel like Fernando would make a better choice because one, Fernando, even though we don't get to see it on the screen, we know that the whole family has spent time together. Fernando knows who Phoebe is, probably knows that she is serious about this commitment to Marcus. And I think that he would be more willing to be there and to help guide her through her transition than, say, Domenico would, or maybe even Miriam. Miriam is too...
Yeah, I disagree. I think Miriam would be ideal too, because it would give her an opportunity to, for the first time, not be so caught up in being there for Matthew. Like the reason she's with Matthew is because her mate told her to look after Matthew. And that's what she's been doing for the majority of her life. Mm-hmm. So this would give her an opportunity to actually be, I don't want to say mother, but it would give her an opportunity to do something other than be there for Matthew.
Right.
To give her someone that she could look after, take care of, and not be this research scientist doctor, to actually be like, have a life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Fernando would be ideal too, because he's such a loving and caring, be there for you type of person. Mm-hmm. He'd be perfect too, but I think Miriam would be just as ideal too.
Yeah.
because who better to teach another scientist, because that's what she is. She's a historian, but she's also sort of a scientist, a scholarly person, to talk to her about what she should do and what she needs to do, and all the vampire things she needs to know. Who else to explain that? Who else better to explain that to her than someone who's like her? It would be Miriam.
Yeah. I'm looking at this in the background. When Matthew was dragging Benjamin out of that room by the scruff of his neck, that's when he should have killed him. That's when he should have killed
bother
him.
Dragging him out of the room. He just killed him on the spot.
Right.
Yeah. But Benjamin was doing the best he can to hold out, waiting for Satu.
Yeah. Now I will say this scene, after we see that Satu is there, when she's in the room and she's silhouetted and it's dark and it just kind of lights, I was getting some very Morticia Addams type vibes from her with the hair and the dress. I thought that was a really cool shot of her. And then, of course, Benjamin comes in and kind of messes the whole thing up. But I kind of agree with you, Anthony. I think what they've done with Satu, it was just kind of like they could have done more with her character. I won't say it was a waste, but I feel like that character could have been so much more. And again, we have talked about different things that could have affected, the writing of the show because of COVID. That could have changed the way they did some things. The fact that it's only a 10 episode series, or 7 episodes, it should have been 10, but I think they could have done more if they had gone ahead and given us a 10 episode final season like they did with the other 2 seasons. We probably could have gotten a lot more of these questions that we have answered. But again, I really hope that they do announce a spinoff so that we can see more of the Marcus Phoebe stuff, because I feel like even though we know that their relationship has grown in this series, I feel like we didn't see enough of it. Again, I like them together. I'm just not like overly invested in their relationship, because it's almost like every time we see them in the episode, things have gotten more and more and more serious, but we don't really get to see that. So maybe if they do a spinoff, we'll get to see what happened in between all of the other stuff that's going on in the show, and then whatever their story is.
Well, and the other thing is that I know they kind of did like a quick solve of the whole blood rage question, but there's also the question of, when they finally really go into more of the book than they have, is explaining the breakdown of each of the creatures, right? And the other thing is that if you're going to go to all this to show Ransom and Geraldine, I think that was her name. I know I mispronounced names. If you're going to go and devote an episode to them this season, you have to do something, because like I said, they're not in the 3rd book at all. So obviously they're in Time's Covenant, which is the first part of the next trilogy book. So we're, to me, it seems like they're wasting precious time showing us stuff that we may not necessarily get to see if they don't announce a spinoff. Because they could have used that hour to, for example, in the book, the first part of the book, they're not at Septor. They're back in New York at the house. And there's a whole awesome thing that happens with them at the house that they never even mentioned. Right? There's a whole witches community that comes together around Sarah. We don't get to see that.
Yeah, you mentioned that last episode.
The other thing is that there are people who help them in London we haven't even seen her. They're not even going to bring into the show, which is a shame, because there's one witch in particular that if they brought her in, it would have made so much more sense on a few things that we've seen. Again, I know you've got time constraints. I know there was COVID. I know you had actors' schedules, because even in our regular shows, we're seeing people who you don't normally see together do scenes or doing scenes, and then you don't see this, or if they have a crowd, there's only like 5 or 6 people in the crowd because they're doing COVID. So we're not
Mhm.
seeing our normal flow of shows, SWAT being one of them. But my thing is that the way that they've had to film these, and you have to remember, Teresa Palmer, when she was filming this, she was pregnant with her 4th child.
Mhm.
So they had that to deal with too. I mean, she had her 2 girls back to back.
Yeah.
So when she was filming season 2 and season 3, pregnant both times.
Mhm.
So
okay. Yeah.
I was watching the brief trailer again, and now I see why y'all said the watch, because they do show a freeze frame of Benjamin holding, and pointing to the watch. So they must have been what they showed Baldwin, like, look at that. But how would they know about the watch? But anyway, or maybe Baldwin froze it. So we'll see.
Diana probably would have known.
Yeah. And also I find it very interesting that Benjamin is going to be in trouble, because I think Gallowglass, Baldwin, and Miriam are all older than him. So yeah, he's
All right.
He's in trouble.
All right. First of all, it doesn't matter if anyone else knows about the watch. Baldwin knows about the watch.
He does.
And they're like, why is it? Then someone's going to ask, why is he pointing at his watch? He's like, it's my father's watch. We must find them now.
No, you're saying that with a little more emotion than this Baldwin would emote. So
I'm hoping that seeing the watch evokes more emotion from him, like pulls it from him, like gives him some emotion. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna do it.
Don't you even do it. Don't you even do it.
Okay, but yes, I think that I'm hoping that seeing the watch actually brings something out, brings out what we've been looking for in Baldwin this whole damn season. Like pulls some emotion out of him. I mean, it has to, because I think because he hasn't seen the watch. It's like he hasn't seen the watch since his father wore it. So if he sees Benjamin with it, taunting him while he has Matthew in the back slowly being drained of blood, maybe that'll kick something in him where he's like, all right, let's fucking go. Right,
not only drained of blood, but he's pumping something into Matthew too. He says a concoction of my own design. So whatever it was that I think he used that on Philippe as well. So that may have contributed to Philippe's weakness and inability to fight his way out of the predicament he was in, and then probably also contributed to his mental state as well. So
also the way Miriam kicked that door down, I don't know if anyone's going to be able to come between her and Benjamin. To be honest with you. I'm especially thinking about the promise she made to her mate. So that's
shred somebody. She get ready to shred somebody a lot.
Like there's so, like all of the people who are there, they have so many reasons to go after Benjamin, with all of this stuff. Yeah, Benjamin is not making it out of this episode alive. I don't
know why Marcus is there. I think he's out of his league.
I don't know. Maybe we'll see a side of Marcus we haven't been allowed to see in the last 3 seasons.
Well, I mean, Marcus is a doctor, so I mean, they need a medic. So
Miriam.
So is Miriam.
Yeah, but no, different. Miriam is a scientist. Yeah, no, I think it's different.
She's a scientist.
She's a scientist. Marcus is an actual medical doctor.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
that would be interesting, because they've all got like 5, 6, 7, 800 years on him.
Right.
He's just...
Did anyone notice the thing when, and this is not in the book, I found it very interesting, how when he made the deal with the demons and they said that Agatha is out. Now we need to get a resolution to that, because I want to see a scene where she tells them to go, somewhere over yonder, when they tell her that she's no longer in charge. Who's going to tell her that one?
I don't know. I kind of agree with Mike's theory that I don't think the demons would turn on Agatha like that. Like they have too much at stake,
right?
To fall in line with Gerbert, who like openly treats them like something on the bottom of his shoe. I kind of agree with Mike. Like they probably were like, okay, yeah, and they probably went scurrying right back to Agatha and said, "Yo, this is what's going on." Blah blah blah, and she's probably got her own thing going on to the side. But yeah,
and then there's Margaret the baby, Are we going to get a resolution about the baby being a witch born of demons?
We'll probably just see
No.
them reunite at the end of the episode, and that's probably about it.
You could just write that off.
Yeah.
They only put
After they put all that into it.
Yeah, they only put that on the show just to prepare you for Diana being pregnant. That was the only reason.
Yeah, we'll probably see, like, once everything is said and done, we will probably see Nate and Sophie and Margaret come back and reunite with Agatha, and that's probably going to be the extent of what we see going on with that.
Margaret served her purpose.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just excited because first of all, it has to be a longer than normal episode. And 2 weeks ago, it didn't hit until like 3:00 my time, when usually it hits about 8 or 9 in the morning. So I'm like, okay, how long is it going to take? So I'm excited. I really, 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 really want this to be like a 2-hour episode.
We probably will not get a 2-hour episode, but usually it hits for me 3 a.m. because usually the way that they do it, it hits 3 a.m. on the East Coast and at midnight on the West Coast, so that everybody can watch at the same time and not spoil anybody, because people are going to be tweeting about it and stuff like that. So yeah, I think Friday night I will probably be up to watch before I go to sleep, but I don't know. I probably won't, now that I think about it, because I have a funeral to go to on early Saturday morning. So I probably won't, but I'll probably watch it like when I get back on Saturday afternoon. Mm-hmm. But I know it's going to be hard because I'm going to be chomping at the bit to discuss it, and y'all aren't available on Saturday. So I got to wait until Sunday. Oh,
I need to physically recover myself, because you do not want to ask me what I thought 5 minutes after I watch. I need to process.
Yeah, it was. Did we talk about how satisfying it was for Peter Knox?
Yes.
To be eviscerated. I know we did. I'm just saying it again because it's on in the background, and I'm just looking at him talking about how he killed Emily, and he was like, it wasn't murder, it wasn't even self-defense, it was pest control.
It was pest control. I'm actually looking at I'm on the same part. I'm on the exact same part. I'm like,
and then when he was like, just like with Rebecca and Stephen, I don't think Diana ever told Sarah that Knox was the one who killed Rebecca and Stephen. So I feel like this was the first time she heard it. And then when he said it, Sarah was like, oh yeah, motherfucker, you about to die. I don't like dabbling in higher magic, but I'm about to do it for your ass. And then you see later on in the episode, she tells Diana, she was like, I don't ever want to feel that again. Like, yeah, I was jealous of Em and Rebecca doing the higher magic, but no, that's not that. I don't want that kind of power. I don't want that kind of responsibility. The power that you can destroy someone.
It showed that she was human, you know, not a monster, because Knox wouldn't have thought 2 different ways about it.
Yeah.
All the episodes have been 45 minutes. So it's going to be 45 minutes, probably.
They gotta give us
I love at the end after he gets scattered, and Sarah just goes
right,
like and scene.
Sarah's dusting her shoulders off. She's like, whatever.
Hell yeah, that shit was awesome. Can we talk about how Diana became like manic, like doing the sketches for Chris and Phoebe, like just sitting there like throwing sketches off like she was freaking, like she was in A Beautiful Mind, like just going off.
It reminded me, it's so funny because my son has been watching Vampire Diaries this week, or he's been watching Vampire Diaries for the last couple of months, because he stopped watching it like around season 4. So now he's starting to get caught up. So we're in, he's in season 7. He was over here for a few days. So I sat down and watched some episodes with him, and there is a vampire hunter in season 7, and she's doing the same thing. Like, she's doing all these drawings about these different vampires that need to be killed and exterminated. And I was like, am I seeing it? Like, is this a theme? Is this a trope? But seeing her doing all of this, and Miriam and Chris are reading what she's doing, they're like, this is brilliant. But they don't tell us what's brilliant about it. Like, tell us what's on the pages. Tell me what's in the book of life. We've been hearing about this book for 3 seasons. I want to know more than what Diana told us in her little trance.
Yeah, they're all connected.
More.
They're all connected. That's it. Yeah. They're all connected.
I mean, for real, it's like, I mean,
it's
they're in wonder, and
thank you for showing us the obvious.
Like, she's like frazzled, like sketching, like literally frazzled, and her hair's all wild and shit, and it's like, it almost reminds me of the sketch, the artist in Heroes, the first season, first episode, because I don't think he lasted much further than that. Like he sketched a few, he could like paint pictures of the future, what's going to happen in the future. Like, kind of reminded me of that too. Like, it was just like, or it reminded me of my guy in Real Genius, the movie I'll be doing for my birthday. I'm sorry, shameless plug.
She says our history keeps revealing itself. Okay, what is it revealing, Diana?
Yeah,
we're all connected.
But she's under control of the book. It's like, I mean, while in The Mummy, she said, Rachel Weisz's character said, no harm can come from opening a book. You can, some manic crazedness can come from opening a book, apparently, because she just, even though she gains control over it, looked like she was just like gone, like zoned out.
Well, it's kind of one of those things, what we generally see when it comes to that particular like trope. She has so much information in her head. It's kind of like she's trying to get it all out, and it's causing that behavior, because it's kind of like, okay, you're all writers. We know what it's like to have an idea in our head and have like an outline or story or a plot. And you got to get it written down before you forget it. Like, oh, I know exactly how this character is supposed to be with this. And you have to get it written down, or else it's not like when you think about it later, you're kind of like, okay, so what was I thinking about such and such? And, and I feel like that's what she's doing. Like, she has all this stuff going on and she just has to write it down. And like Miriam says, this could be the key to everything. Like, there could be so much in the book of life that helps them figure out what's going on with the creatures. There may be something in there that explains the whole thing about the blood rage, even though it has more so to do with the humans. I mean, if you really think about it, a human is a creature too. So there could be stuff about the humans in the book of life.
So what I think has sort of happened is the language or whatever the text that was in the book of life, she is absorbed into her in order for her to put it in modern terms.
She's like a cipher.
Yeah. I think that whatever we find out, I think the biggest thing is that, like a lot of magical shows, is that when you absorb the power, you have to, like you said, get rid of it before it burns out or you lose it. But I also think that the thing is that she wants to make sure that it gets out to all 3 different types of creatures so that they all have the same information at the same time. Because if you give the vampires the information first, what are they going to do? They're going to scratch it out. They're going to erase it. They're going to edit, whatever. You give it to the witches, strong possibility they'll do the same thing. The demons, they'll just take it as face value and just go to the congregation. So it's not so much of that as getting it out there as quickly as possible.
My random thought was, shout out to Isabeau and Martha for having parchment paper lying around for her to write on, because God forbid they get some college rule loose leaf notebook paper.
That's some grid paper hanging around.
What about Septour makes you think that they would have modern paper? Of course not. That's so gauche.
Nothing about Isabeau would not ever put her finger on regular notebook paper. She's only going to use parchment paper and quill and ink.
Okay,
period.
Exactly. Anthony, you're wrong about Isabeau. You want to know why? In the book, she's addicted to her phone.
Well, we're not talking about the book because
I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, because even in this show, when she was talking to Miriam when the twins were being born, she was on a landline.
No, she's addicted to her iPhone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's in the book.
Yeah.
We're not
Yeah.
In the show. They have very purposefully kept Isabeau very old fashioned, I feel.
Right in the thing. But see, here's the thing: you can know that because I'm put two examples. One that had me cracking up when they I forget what they were doing, but when they walk out of a room, there's a pile of wood just laying on the floor. Again, old school. Just randomly, there's a pile of wood. The other thing is that it was Martha and it was Jezebel when Jack came in a couple episodes ago, and when the rest of them, they all said, "Come through." That's so Downton Abbey. Right there. I was like, oh, that's Downton Abbey. And who was on Downton Abbey?
Matthew Good.
So yeah, I just thought that. But yeah, no, I wish they could have incorporated a few different more things because I think it would have rounded out. But we're going to get a very satisfying ending to the series. And again, we've said this: if they don't give us a spinoff, I'm going to be pissed. I mean, it won't stop me from buying the DVDs because I will. Because the only show that ever didn't stick the landing and I didn't buy the DVDs was Lost Girl. Lost Girl, I was pissed the way it ended.
I didn't even finish Lost Girl. I think I stopped somewhere at the beginning of season 5. So
you didn't miss much.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, no, they've got to stick the landing on this because it's such a magical series, book wise, TV wise. I mean, it's basically it is RCW for adults, but at the same time, it's smart, it's funny, it's modern. You don't get bored with it. It's awesome.
Yeah. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the trailer for the next episode, and yeah. When Baldwin walks in and they're like, what is he doing here? And Diana says, I asked him to come. We need Baldwin's help to find Matthew. I think that's when Baldwin's going to see the watch, because when she shows him the video, like Benjamin says, I thought you want to say goodbye. And then he makes it a point to hold his arm up so she can see the watch. So yeah, I think Diana probably knew about the watch, and that was why she called Baldwin like, okay, look, I need you to see if any of this looks familiar, if it makes sense. And oh yeah, because I just played it again. Baldwin see, like, it's literally freeze framed like this on the laptop, and Baldwin looks and he's like, huh? Yeah, this is gonna be so satisfying. I feel it.
There's not enough Benjamin to go around.
There isn't. There isn't. So I'm kind of, I think at this point, because of the fact that we know Isabeau is not going to where they have Matthew or to where he has Matthew. Yeah, Baldwin is going to be the one to get in Benjamin's ass. I really feel it. They all might get a piece of him, but I feel like he's going to be the one to deliver the final blow. And it's going to, excuse you.
Rude.
My cat, for those of y'all listening, my cat just jumped on my desk and like knocked my microphone around. So, but yeah, it's got to be Baldwin, and it's going to be so satisfying. Like, I'm going to be like Lori, if they don't stick this landing in this final episode, I am going to do a rant, and I'm going to be so pissed. But something tells me, for the most part, they've been pretty consistent with their writing on the show. And even the things that we nitpick about, I still feel like this is one of the better written shows on television. Yeah. I don't think they will give us 2.6 episodes, seasons of episodes, and then fuck it up on the finale. I don't think that's going to happen with this show.
Don't jinx it. Because I can point you some shows.
We're not going to talk about those other shows. We're talking about this particular show. I think even just from what we've seen for the preview for next episode, I think we're all going to be pretty satisfied with what happens to end this show out. And like Laura said, we need something about a spinoff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with Marcus, Diana, Gallowglass, and Baldwin looking like doing their like best superhero poses.
Oh, don't forget Miriam. Don't forget Miriam.
And Miriam was already her foot through kicking the door, waving the 4-4. All you heard was Miriam, don't hit me no more.
Miriam was like, "Let's go, let's go!" And
Cockle shot, yes, that.
Yeah, and I mean, I still have it freeze framed on the back. Gallowglass says Benjamin's playing with you. He's practically told you where he is.
Right.
Like, yeah. This is gonna be good. I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm so excited. We only have a few more days. I'm so excited. I can't wait.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on episode 6?
There was something else. I think we talked about everything, but
where can I get me some parchment paper?
You can make some.
Yeah, you could probably make some.
It's not that hard to make.
Yeah. My daughter actually makes paper from scratch. So yeah.
There's
we get you some. We get you some.
Yeah,
just press it together.
If they're still in business, Papyrus at the mall, usually they're right next to Yankee Candle. They have paper too, but making it, like Hanako said, that's not hard.
It's just very time consuming.
Yeah.
Yeah, just pop in the Papyrus, get you an orange Julius while you're there, and an Ant's pretzel, and
look,
like,
at this point, I would kill to go to the mall for an hour.
I'm not a mall person, but
I'm not either. But I'm just saying, I would not mind taking about an hour spent. Stop by Hot Topic, like you said, get an orange Julius. Stop by, Panera. Just walk by, that and those are the two things I want right now.
I know what I want to say. Shout out to Domenico for giving the self-effacing laugh when he tells Baldwin, asking what he wants. He's like, surprisingly, nothing.
Right.
He's like,
right.
I don't recognize myself.
What did he say? Horrifically nothing.
Yes, he did. Yes.
Yeah, he was like, I don't recognize myself either. I was like, okay, Domenico.
It was almost like he thought he was going to catch on fire for admitting it out loud. I mean, it was perfectly acted, But
like, who are you and what'd you do with Domenico?
Right.
That's growth.
Well,
that is. And I will say it's a very surprising turn for a character that we were kind of like, yeah, he's just out for himself and blah blah blah. No, that really isn't. Like he said, he felt like he was always doing the right thing, maybe not by the best of means, but he was trying to do the right thing for everyone, for all of the creatures. He was trying to make sure that that the congregation was what it was supposed to be. And you know what? Honestly, after this episode, I can probably see him. And I think, Anthony, you may have mentioned this a couple of shows ago. I could actually see Domenico being the leader of the congregation, as long as he's, in tune with it being very equal for everyone and more progressive. Now, if they're talking about quote unquote reform, meaning they're going back to their ancient ways, then the congregation needs to be, it needs to be abolished. But if you're talking about true equality for all creatures and progressive advancement, moving forward, no more of the demons being ostracized and not being able to congregate with themselves or anyone else. No more of this, you stay in your lane, we stay in our, they've got to let that go. And if he's on board for doing that and doing it the right way, then yeah, I could easily see Domenico probably being head of the congregation, especially if that is what his true purpose is. But Baldwin and Gerbert, no, they both got to go.
Yeah, and shout out to the writers for writing such vitriolic language for Gerard, for For what? For Gerbert? For Gerbert, so that when he's dead, you're like, good, get him the fuck out of here. Like, I mean, for all the bullshit that he was just spouting some like real rhetoric, and I'm sure that they meant to draw the line between like the way he feels about other creatures to how white supremacists feel about other races, just to like trigger something where you're just like, okay, yeah, they gotta go. Yeah, fuck all that shit. Fuck all that bullshit. And poor Domenico, and he said when he said Domenico played his part well, you can see Domenico like, he played me. How'd I get played? Do you know who I am?
Yeah.
Like, he took that shit personally. I'm surprised he didn't go run tell that to everybody in the congregation. Like
I said, he's probably gonna let it slip to maybe Baldwin and Isabeau. Although at this point, I don't think it's needed, because if Baldwin is at set tour and he sees the video, that's all the motivation he's gonna need.
I mean, you already talked to Baldwin. I mean, all he needs to do is talk to Isabeau.
Yeah. So one last thing I want to mention, that trailer for next week, the shot of Baldwin, Diana, Gallowglass, and Marcus in front of the helicopter. Why does it look like an album cover? Like, they're all standing there and they've all got the same stance and they're all looking over to the left. I'm like, this is like an album cover. I don't know what the band would be called, Creatures United or something, but that's what it looks like.
Yeah. Vamps and Scamps.
I like that. Vamps and Scamps. That's cool.
The Seven Towers.
Oh, that's nice. That would be good. And next up, the Seven Towers. Destruction.
Oh man, yeah. Oh, I'm okay. See, I'm gonna come up with one after we come off. I'm like thinking like there has to be a better one. Okay, but yeah, that's just dope.
Okay, so I guess that's it for this episode. Like I said, we've got the series finale. Boo-hoo. Coming in the next few days, and you will get our reactions to that. But for now, that's it for our show. You can find us online at www.fandomhybrid.com. We are on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Fandom Hybrid. You can watch our videos on YouTube and listen to us on all major podcast streaming platforms. Thanks for listening. We hope you join the conversation next time.